creating partnerships, they're creating programs.
Okay, someone's got to mute.
All right, folks, we are live. For those who are not talking, we ask that you keep yourself on mute. Otherwise, you can unmute to begin your meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our virtual meeting of the Canal Recreationway Commission. Happy New Year. This is our first meeting of 2022, meeting number 107 of the Canal Recreationway Commission, today being held in complete virtual format. So we appreciate your patience and indulgence while we make our way through the usual challenges that are common with a virtual meeting. I'm Brian Stratton, Director of the Canal Corporation and Acting Chair of the CRC, and I'm coming to you from our Canal Corporation headquarters offices in Albany, and I know other commissioners and members of our staff are connected via other locations, and we'll have an opportunity to let everybody make their introductions. It's always good when we can ensure that we maintain safety and that we have this option for our meetings. And of course, during the winter weather and the large storm that took place mostly east of us, thankfully, over the weekend, it's always good to not have to roll the dice and anticipate the challenges of driving during winter weather. It's a pleasure having all of you. I think our quorum of our CRC commissioners, agency representatives, regional planning executives, and some special guests on with us today. And most everyone will have an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then as we get through the meeting, we'll have a number of staff. Obviously, we don't have the ability to go around the room, nor do I have the ability to see everybody that is on the call. But we'll make sure the people that are at least speaking, you know who is here. In addition to our Canal staff, our commissioners, our agency representatives, and our regional planning executives, I'm very happy to tell you that a member of our NYPA and Canal Board of Trustees has joined with us, Trustee B. Gonzalez. And Trustee Gonzalez is one of seven gubernatorial appointees. She is a long-term Syracuse City resident and graduate of the Syracuse University Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. She retired from a distinguished 36 career at Syracuse University in 2020, where she most recently served as vice president for community engagement. Trustee Gonzalez has served as an elected member of the Syracuse City School Board and the Syracuse Common Council. And I am happy to tell you that she and her husband are boaters on the Erie Canal, and they make their home port at the SK Yards Marina in Brewerton. So she has public service, she has canal history, and she is our trustee. And trustee, we are honored to have you with us and excited, and I hope you're on the call. I'd like to turn it over to you now to give any comments you might like to make. Kim, do you know if she's on?
I'm checking. I do not see her, Brian.
Okay. Maybe Rebecca can check with her office, and we can certainly come back to her because I don't believe I've had a meeting in my years chairing the CRC where we have had one of our trustees join us. Perhaps we've had some in live format over the years, but it's always a special occasion. And Trustee Gonzalez is one of the newer additions to the NYPA Canal Corporation Board of Trustees. So and of course, someone that knows the canal well. So it's important that we hear from her and that she take time from her day to engage in the proceedings of the Canal Recreationway Commission. So why don't we proceed with the introductions while we await the arrival of Trustee Gonzalez? And I'm going to call on our CRC commissioners that I know who are on the call and ask them to introduce themselves. And I will start with Steve Iacchetta. Steve.
Thank you, Director. Steve Iacchetta, Commissioner since 2014 here at Albany Airport. Lock 6 and 7 tuning in. Glad to support the cause. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. It's always good to have you with us and always good to fly Albany. So we like that. Commissioner Michelle Venard. Michelle? That's not Michelle. That's Professor Grasso. But is Michelle on, Kim? All right, we
Yes,
will.
Michelle was on.
All
Okay,
right.
I'm here. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
there
I
you
had,
are.
There you are.
I had to unmute.
Unmute. Okay. Welcome, Michelle. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Venard, longtime hospitality professional. I am currently not only on this prestigious board, but also a board member of Canal, New York, and also chair of the Albany Convention Bureau of Convention Center Board of Directors, and glad to see you all.
It's a pleasure to have you with us, Commissioner. Thank you for being here. And once you've introduced yourselves, you can remute until we engage in our dialogue. Natalie Stetson, Commissioner Natalie Stetson, are you with us?
I am here. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I am Natalie Stetson. I'm a pretty new commissioner. This is my third CRC meeting. I think that's right. I am the executive director of the Erie Canal Museum in sunny downtown Syracuse, New York. Glad to see you all, and sorry we couldn't all be in person, but thankful for this technology.
We will be back in person before you know it, and it's always wonderful if the sun is shining in Syracuse. That's a rare thing, but it's a wonderful thing. Natalie, I had the opportunity to hike through the Audubon Center in Montezuma with one of your research fellows just a few weeks ago as we began our canal excursions, our birding excursions program. So that was a pleasure, and it was great to have her with us. Thank you. Commissioner Doug Cole. Commissioner Cole, are you with us?
Yes, thank you. Doug Cole, I'm a professional engineer living in Schenectady County and glad to represent the area on this commission.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Dan Wiles.
Morning, everybody. Dan Wiles, longtime Canaler, longtime CRC commissioner, and representing the Canal Society of New York State today. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. We look forward to hearing from you as the meeting goes on. Commissioner Cal Wysokowski. Cal.
Good afternoon, everyone. Cal Wysokowski, economic development professional for many, many years. Currently, I'm the vice chair of the Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor Commission, former president of the Canal Society of New York State, canal enthusiast, and very happy to be here.
Thank you very much, Cal. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, and we're glad you have joined and from the safety and comfort of your nice home there. And lastly, Commissioner Fra Patorti. Mayor Patorti, are you with us?
I am with you. Good afternoon, everyone. Fra Patorti from the northern end of Lake the Barge Canal, the beginning of Lake Champlain at Lock 12. And very happy to be here today without a mask on.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor. It's good to have you with us. We look forward to engaging with you. And I'm going to go to the agency representatives and ask them to introduce themselves. I know Paul Byer is here, so Paul, we'll start with you.
Hi, everybody. Paul Byer, Smart Growth Director at the Department of State, representative to this commission. and the Federal Canalway Heritage Corridor Commission.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's great to have you with us. We look forward to talking about DRI communities on the canal and other issues that you may want to talk about as we make our way through the program. We are also joined today by Molly Riley from the New York State Department of Parks / Executive Chamber. I think Molly, hello, Molly. I think you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Have you replaced Fred Bond, or are you just in addition?
No, not a replacement in any way. Just happy to be a guest here for your proceedings. Very interested in all of the good work that you're doing as part of this Canal Recreation Commission. Thank you so much for giving me some time and joining you today.
Well, Molly, it's great to have you with us. I will tell everybody that Molly is the former mayor of Sackett's Harbor, and there's no greater qualification to knowing your stuff on the canal than having been a mayor, if I do say so myself. So Molly, it's great. Of course, Molly has worked many years in the executive chamber and was of tremendous assistance to us as we were getting the state back on its feet during the onset of the COVID pandemic. But she's working very closely with us on the Empire State Trail and other connected issues with the State Department of Parks. So Molly, we look forward to having you with us. Okay. I'm going to go back. I have been informed that Trustee Gonzalez has joined the call, and Trustee, I gave a brief introduction of you and told the world, our CRC members, of your career at Syracuse University, your elected service on the Syracuse City School Board, the Syracuse Common Council. And I saved the best for last, told them that you are a boater. You and your husband are boaters on the Erie Canal and keep your boat at SK Yards. So Trustee Gonzalez, it's an honor and a privilege to have you with us. Would you like to introduce yourself and say anything?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My apologies for being a little bit late, but I'm running from one Zoom meeting to the other. I'm just glad to be here with you and excited to get to know you, to your work, and to be a good liaison between the commission and the board. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have any trustee join us, but we are especially excited that you live on the canal, you know the canal, that you both the canal, and you have a distinguished career in public service, so you know the local issues that we deal with also. So thank you. Feel free to chime in at any time as we go through. And I'm just making my way. I've introduced all of the commissioners on the CRC who are with us today. And I'm making my way through the agency representatives. Okay. Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez. I didn't ask if Commissioner Ken DeRoller was on the call. Ken, are you there?
I do not see him, Brian.
Ken is not with us today. Sometimes he comes in by surprise. So if he comes in, let me know.
I will.
Okay, we've introduced Paul, we've introduced Molly. Who else is on from our agency representatives that would like to introduce themselves?
Hi, Brian, it's Laura DeBetta, Director of Outdoor Recreation for the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
Hi, Laura. It's a pleasure to have you with us. I know you generally do join. I don't have a hugely populated screen for names, so I apologize for not recognizing you and knowing that you were on the call, but thank you for introducing yourself. And do we have anyone from Empire State Development on the call? Or other agency representatives that I'm not mentioning? Okay, without that, I think our agency representatives are Paul, Molly, and Laura. And then we will go on now to our regional planning executives who are on from our planning commissions. Would those folks please introduce yourselves?
Hi, Mark Castiglione from the Capital District Regional Planning Commission. Good to be here.
Hi, Mark. It's great to have you with us. Central New York? No.
I do not see Jeannie on the call, Brian.
Okay, Jeannie is not on the call. Anyone else that I'm not recognizing from regional planning organizations?
Richard
Okay.
Sutherland from Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council.
Okay, Rich, thank you so much. Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I would like to introduce the members of our staff. We have several members of our staff. Obviously, we're limited in how we can do this in the virtual format, but let me take an opportunity to introduce, to give the floor to those members of our staff who you're going to be hearing from. And I would like to begin with Angelin Chandler, who is our Vice President for Planning for Reimagine the Canals. Angelin.
Hi, Angelin Chandler. I'm very happy to be with you guys again. Been here at NIPA 2 years, and it's exciting every day. Thanks.
Good, Angelin. Thank you so much. Ambrose Barbuto is our Director of Canal Waterways Management. Ambrose.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Brian. Very happy to be here. I'll be talking a little bit about our winter maintenance. So very excited to do that. So thank you.
Very good. I'd like to introduce a new member of our canal team, and that would be Carmen Story. And Carmen has joined us from the State Comptroller's Office in the Division of Real Property. And she's going to be taking us through our property items today. Carmen, are you there? Hello, Carmen. Dave, you need to track down Carmen and make sure she knows that our
He
meeting.
is on, Brian.
She's on. She might just be
Yes.
having mute issues.
Maybe.
So, okay, well, Carmen is with us. You're going to be hearing from her in short order. Is there anybody else that oh, I'm sorry. Yes, let me introduce Rebecca Hughes. Rebecca, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's great to see all of your faces, if not in person. I'm not on the agenda today, but happy to be here representing Canal's public engagement. Thank you. And it looks like we've got Carmen now, too. I think you maybe have audio now.
I think I saw Carmen. Carmen, you want to reintroduce yourself?
Thank you, Brian.
There you go.
Something's not working. It's working.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. I'm having some audio issues. It's nice to meet everyone, and I look forward to presenting our planned disposals to you this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carmen. I see a chat message from Kelly Garofalo. Is she from Empire State Development, New York State Division of Tourism?
Yes, it says she is here on behalf of Ross Levy.
Okay. Kelly, thank you for that notice. I have another piece of paper here that says, we have someone from Nistea who's on the call. Is that right, Kim? Our communications manager from Nistea. That would be Rachel Markle. Rachel, thank you for being with us today. Rachel is the communications officer for Nistea, which is the New York State Tourism Industry Association. And she's joined us today as a guest. And we have recently joined as a ex officio board seat the Canal Corporation has for Nistea. We're looking forward to working with them because tourism is what we do here on the canal. I would also like to let everyone else know that we are joined by Sarah Emmert, Director of Tourism and Policy Initiatives from Empire State Development, Jeff Cleary from the Village of Waterford, the Harbor Master, Joelle Murney-Karsten from Seneca Falls Development Corporation, Craig Williams from the Canal Society, Michael Bopp, retired from a distinguished career at the Canal Corporation and the New York State Department of State and lifelong canal enthusiast, and Darby Racy from our Reimagine the Canals on the Canals excursion program. So I think Bill Schweitzer is on the phone too. So if we continue to speculate who is and is not on the call, we'll never get through this meeting. So I think I've pretty well covered it, unless there's somebody that would like an opportunity to introduce themselves that I have overlooked. Okay, hearing none. We will get underway with our presentations, dialogue, and discussion. I am informed that we have a quorum. Meeting number 107 of the Canal Recreationway Commission is officially called to order. The first item of business will be to approve the minutes from our last meeting. Our last meeting was held on October 19th, 2021 in our division offices in North Syracuse, a convenient location. Perhaps we'll be going back there in April, but stay tuned for that. We'll talk about that at the end of the meeting. Everyone, all of our commissioners should have received a copy of the minutes that are part of your package in advance of today. Have all of the commission members had the opportunity to review the minutes? And if so, can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
Moved by Commissioner Iacetta, second.
Okay, second.
Second by Commissioner Patorti, I do believe. That's if my hearing is working well, that sounded like Fra. It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes as presented to you?
So, yeah,
Brian, go ahead.
Yes. Go ahead, Dan. Commissioner Wiles.
Yeah, just first of all, I think they're really good. And second of all, when we do land items, could the minutes reflect the results of the commission meeting regarding that land item?
What do you mean results? That they were passed or what?
Yeah, that they were passed, that there was no issue with them,
Okay, very good.
or
I think
that there
you're right.
was.
That should be. I didn't know if you were talking about any further action that had taken place on those land items since the commission acted on it. Okay.
Just the commission action.
All right. So the minutes should reflect that the land items were discussed, accepted, and voted to go forward. Okay. Thank you very much. Well said. Commissioner Wysokowski, did you have something to add to that?
I have something to add. There's an item that says a date for the next CRC meeting. It's towards the end of the minutes. And that's accurately reflected. Since that time, there has been legislation that was signed by the governor regarding CRC meetings. I don't know if it's appropriate now to talk about that or if we're going to have an opportunity during this meeting. It was legislation A07045, and it has to do with CRC meetings.
I'm not familiar with that, but maybe Rebecca can address that question.
The legislation is that quarterly meetings are not subject to the call of the chair. And that was signed by Governor Hochul. And I just think that that's important for the commission to understand.
Would you like to amend the minutes for that or how? Okay.
I think if we reflect them in this CRC meeting, that's perfectly
Okay.
fine.
Fine.
Thank you.
If the information, and we are recording this meeting, so we have a high quality recording available. It was a little bit difficult in our last meeting because we were wearing masks. Even though we had a recording, it was hard to hear. So hopefully we'll have that as part of the dialogue that's taking place now and have that included. Any other commissioners, any other discussion on the minutes? Thank you, Commissioner Wysokowski and Commissioner Wiles for your comments on the minutes. They've been moved, they've been seconded, they've been discussed. All those in favor of accepting the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Opposed, say no. The motion carries and the minutes are approved. Thank you. We'd like to move in now to our first presentation, and that comes from me. And that is on our DRI program, New York State's DRI program, which stands for Downtown Revitalization Initiative. One of the most effective economic development tools that we have for our communities on the Canal Corporation is the DRI program, which awards competitively based grants of $10 million to cities, towns, and villages to transform their downtowns into live, work, play communities. Since the program was established in 2016 under the Department of State, the Canal Corporation has worked closely with our colleagues at the Department of State to move the DRI program. And we do have a PowerPoint on this. So if, Joe, if you could bring up the PowerPoint, that would be great. Technology.
I think Kim's actually going to share the PowerPoint, and Kim, if you need me to do so, I'm happy to if you don't have the file.
Okay, Rebecca's going to share the PowerPoint. So with today,
Did
with
Rebecca say she wanted me to share it? I couldn't hear her.
I don't know. Kim, did you say that? Or
Yeah, Kim, if you have the PowerPoint and are ready to share, I think Brian's ready for you, but I'm just opening my file in case you need it for backup for any
Okay.
reason.
Okay.
apologize, folks. So today with 21 of our Canal corridor communities in the DRI program, this is a good opportunity to look at our newest awardees that were awarded in December of last year, and that really covered the 2020 cycle and the 2021 cycle. So there was a 2-year funding making up for a pause in the funding which occurred in 2020 during the pandemic. So let's go to the PowerPoint if we can get that. Coming. There it is. Oh, we haven't been doing the PowerPoint on our agenda. Okay, next slide. There's our agenda. That's what we're going to be talking about. And here's the PowerPoint. Okay, let's go to slide number 2, Kim. Get right into it. Administered by our very good friends at the Department of State, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, DRI program, is helping to restore and rebuild downtowns across our state, and including in 21 communities along the Canal corridor. Little Falls is shown here with a beautiful rainbow. And at the end of that rainbow is a $10 million check that I presented to Mayor Blask last month. So it's very, very exciting. Since 2016, cities, towns, and villages in each of the state's 10 economic development regions have annually competed for $10 million in DRI communities to turn their communities into vibrant work, live, play communities. Next slide, please. Last year, Governor Hochul, as I said, doubled down on the DRI program, bringing forward $200 million to actually cover 2020 and 2021 awardees. That included 19 new DRI communities. I think there was one super DRI in the New York City region, and 8 new out of those awardees. 8 of them are communities that are on the Canal corridor. Next slide. Literally from Albany to Buffalo, the DRI program is fortifying communities. Eight new winners joined the lineup this year, and now we have DRI communities along the Erie, Cayuga Seneca, Oswego, and the Champlain Canal. Next slide. New inductees on the DRI program this year include Buffalo, North Tonawanda, Newark, Syracuse, Oneida, Little Falls, Gloversville, not exactly on the Canal corridor, but they're a great community just the same, and the city of Troy. And a beautiful photo there of the Buffalo River and Niagara River going through North Tonawanda and Tonawanda under the beautiful CSX rail bridge, which we hope to have a very exciting announcement for at a future point in time. So stay tuned for that. Next slide. Last December, I was happy to join with Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin and also represent Governor Hochul as I presented checks to some of our new DRI communities for more investment, more opportunity, and it's always great to have more of them on the canal. We've made check presentations. I'm not done with that one yet. Thank you. Made check presentations in Newark, Oneida, Rochester, Gloversville, and Little Falls. And there's no better way to make good friends than to show up with a $10 million check. Everybody smiles. Okay, our newest DRI winners, next slide, will receive a total of 9.7. They'll net 9.7 for their approved strategic investment plan. $300,000 is reserved to hire and assign a guiding strategic partner, which helps them to put their plan into place. And over the next several months, they'll be putting that plan into place. And then the Department of State will approve their strategic investment plan with the 9.7, and that becomes their roadmap for going forward. So let's take a look at our new DRI awardees. We'll start west, work our way west to east. Buffalo's DRI is not on the canal, but centered in the city's east side in the vibrant Broadway Fillmore neighborhood. The area is growing, and the DRI funds will help to continue to fuel mixed-use developments and improvements in the Buffalo Central Terminal Complex, shown here in that great illustration. And Paul Byer is going to follow up on any of the footnotes after this presentation and tell you about some new developments under DRI. Further heading east along the canal, North Tonawanda, along the Buffalo River and the Niagara River, NT is focusing its DRI plan on creating vibrant mixed-use developments, all centered around the Erie Canal, while increasing green space, building more senior housing, and improved infrastructure to support future development. Check out the DRI map here. You'll see that the DRI boundary goes right along the canal waterfront. And obviously the canal and the waterfront is central to the ability of North Tonawanda to execute its DRI strategic investment plan. Rochester's DRI plan shows that you don't have to be big to have a big impact. In fact, the approved Rochester DRI footprint encompasses roughly 2 square blocks, probably the smallest DRI that I've seen, if I'm reading this DRI boundary map properly. And it encompasses 2 city blocks along the Genesee River and not far from the Erie Canal navigation territory and the connection to the historic Broad Street Aqueduct. But those two blocks are designed to bring a big boost to Rochester's growing downtown vibe, which is also being fueled by the city's Rock the Riverway program. Rochester aims to improve city streetscapes, public spaces, pedestrian access, and to catalyze further development downtown. And we look forward to hearing more about the city's dynamic plan and progress from its newly elected mayor, Malik Evans, when we convene for our state canal conference in Rochester this October. And Cal will give us more information on that, I'm sure. Next. Just east of Rochester and along the Erie Canal is the beautiful port village of Newark, where nearly $200 million has already been invested in this community in the last 10 years. Mayor Jonathan Taylor and his team have a dynamic plan to launch what will bring new waterside housing, business developments, a new hotel. If you've ever stayed in Newark at the old hotel, you know how exciting the news of a new hotel is. And additional boater amenities to this perfect picture village. There, a beautiful picture of the Newark Harbor, where I was fortunate to stay during my canal vacation this past summer. The ice cream store stays open till 10 at night, which is always a great thing. So we're looking forward to Newark and everything that's going on there, a beautiful canal community. Oneida. The city of Oneida is not on the active canal system today, but it was historically connected to the enlarged Erie Canal by way of the Oneida Lake Feeder Canal. Mayor Helen Acker and her team aim to energize the city's strong arts community as a nationally designated historic districts, all centered around their vibrant new modern library. So great things happening in the village, in the city of Oneida in Madison County, not in Oneida County. Next. Syracuse. Syracuse's Southwest Gateway District comprises another relatively compact DRI footprint along the canal corridor. The recent influx of younger residents in the expanding central business district provides a strong opportunity for DRI designation to fuel further growth. The Syracuse DRI also connects to the Onondaga Creek Walk, which connects to the Syracuse Inner Harbor and which also feeds, of course, into the canal system. So we are happy that Syracuse, the home city of Trustee Gonzalez, is also joining the DRI lineup as a wonderful canal community. Thank you. Next. We all know that Little Falls is a magical place. That is an undisputable fact, and the city's winning DRI proposal aims to make this community an even more desirable location for residential development in the Mohawk Valley by connecting neighborhoods to a central waterfront district. Again, look at the DRI map. It goes right along the canal, connecting Benton's Landing, Lock 17, Moss Island, Canal Side, Canal Place. It really is there. So we know that more important and more great things are ahead for Little Falls as they move forward to flesh out their DRI strategic investment plan. We also have a number of exciting developments that maybe Angeline can talk more about coming for Little Falls under our Reimagine the Canals program. There, of course, a view of the beautiful Little Falls Harbor Terminal building, the historic Canal Terminal Freight Building, converted into a beautiful boater welcome center with a library, showers, laundry facilities, bathrooms, just a great place. So welcome Little Falls to the DRI lineup. Next. Gloversville is one of those communities which is actually not on the canal, but it's got all of the charm of the canal communities that we love so well. Certainly the city's historic glove making industry and tanning industries relied on the historic Erie Canal to ship their goods out of Gloversville, south to New York, west to Buffalo and beyond. It's not far from the canal, so it was not a long connection. The Gloversville DRI footprint covers the core of the city's downtown and retail development and focuses on enhancing arts and entertainment opportunities at the city's beloved and historic Glove Theater. Finally, the city of Troy. The city of Troy's downtown waterfront district, of course, which is the gateway to both the Erie Canal and the Champlain Canal, is compact and it is walkable, containing the bulk of the city's cultural arts and entertainment assets and a growing residential component on 1.6 miles of unified waterfront. Again, look at the DRI footprint for Troy. It goes right along the river, which is the navigation channel leading to the Erie Canal, leading to the Champlain Canal. And we know that it is the river, it is the waterfront, it is that canalway that makes the strength of the city of Troy's DRI plan. So we look forward to more good things happening in the Collar City in Troy as the DRI program goes forward. Now let's take a quick look at some of the communities that joined, some of the canal communities that joined the DRI since 2016. And Paul Byers got some more information on that, but I'm going to take a quick look and show you what's happening in 3 of them. And let's start with Geneva. On the north end of Seneca Lake and the southern terminus of the Cayuga-Seneca Canal is the beautiful city of Geneva. Their completed DRI projects include the fabulous and amazing Lake Tunnel Solar Village, which is a zero energy modular development company. These modular homes are manufactured in Geneva, placed on site at the Lake Tunnel Solar Village. They get all of their electrical energy from the solar panels that are on the roof. And the tunnel that you see in the upper right-hand corner connects right down to Seneca Lake. So this is an amazing project. And in fact, the solar home factory that produces these has got a number of contracts to build modular homes for other communities around the state. And they would be an ideal provider of canal communities. So it's great to know that everything is made here in New York State by a women-owned business. It's a great story. And other projects that Geneva has completed include the Twisted Rail Brewery, the Smith Opera House, and multiple adaptive reuse projects. Their streetscape project is underway, and that will include the transformation of public spaces, green infrastructure, and pedestrian bicycle access. And then finally, starting in the fall of 2022, construction will begin on a new 75-slip marina at the edge of Seneca Lake. So more boater opportunities for travelers along the Erie Canal, the Cayuga-Seneca Canal, and Seneca Lake. So Geneva is getting it done. Moving to Oswego, Mayor Billy Barlow is really getting it done, and he has completed all but one of the projects outlined in their DRI strategic investment plan, and in the process has turned his $10 million DIR in investment to leverage $100 million in private sector funding. So that is fantastic. And new projects include this beautiful luxury apartment building in the lower right-hand corner with a restaurant and roof garden, underground parking, beautiful housing. The Water Street Pocket Park, shown on the left, is one of 3 public space improvement projects, 9 projects completed. And in the upper right-hand corner, which is not actually part of the DRI, but happened because everything that is happening in the DRI program, the beautiful Oswego Cinema Arts Theater, its owners were able to leverage an $80,000 federal CDBG grant to revive their marquee and to attract more of the people now living downtown to come out to the movies. And that's the great thing about DRI. Even if it's not in the plan, all of the progress, all of the momentum helps to generate and spur further development. And last but not least, we go to the deep south of our canal system, to the beautiful village of Watkins Glen at the southern end of Seneca Lake, where some amazing things are happening under the leadership of Judy McKinney-Cherry, who we serve with on the Erie Canalway National Heritage Fund and National Heritage Board. Watkins Glen is putting the finishing touches on a $6.5 million streetscape lit up, going along there with new sidewalks, paving, crosswalks, and historic lighting. The Seneca Lake Event Center in the lower right is a $5 million project that includes year-round event space, a splash pad, and which converts to an ice skating rink during the winter. And in the lower left is the INHS mixed-use facility, which is an $11.6 million project containing the Glen Lake Apartments and a new child care facility. And in the upper right is a $1 million DRI upgrade to Captain Bill's, a longtime staple along Seneca Lake. Captain Bill's runs the Captain Bill's Wine and Glass Tours aboard the Seneca Legacy Tour Boat. And we thank Judy for her leadership, and we thank Watkins Glen for everything they are doing to turn one of the most southern points on our canal system into a beautiful, welcoming canal community. In closing, we love all of our DRI communities, and here they are listed. They truly are making a transformative difference. I had the opportunity to receive a call from our newly appointed Secretary of State, Rodriguez, who was very pleased to hear me mention DRI funding on our budget school call, and looks forward to getting out to visiting our DRI communities. And I just wanted, at this point, we can come back to the screen for our faces and ask Paul Byer if he'd like to say anything more about DRI and what's in store for DRI for what's proposed in the governor's budget for 2022, and what other things are going on with the Department of State's DRI program. Paul.
Okay, thank you, Brian. As you've expounded, there is tremendous overlap between the DRI and canal communities and their heritage. For good reason, of course. You all know that the canal birthed or accelerated the growth or both of so many of these communities. You understand that, but many in the outside world don't. So I'd like to talk about a couple of things that I think will expand the reach of the DRI, downtown revitalization, even further into canal communities, and how we at the Department of State and in conjunction with Brian and Rebecca are trying to tell those stories in very real terms. Brian mentioned there's nothing like bringing a big check to a community. So the governor announced an offshoot of the DRI in her State of the State called New York Forward. It's very exciting because it will reach out to some of the smaller communities, villages, and hamlets that may not be able to handle a $10 million grant, may not have a number of projects ready to move, and they're under-resourced and they have less capacity and staff. We're always trying to get to those communities. We don't want them to be left out. So this is the rural, more small town approach to the DRI. We will be providing planning assistance, project selection assistance, and funding under the rubric of the mantra that we proceed under. Plan to act, plan to implement. It's the core of the DRI. Here's a lot of money. Select your projects, do as much outreach as you can, and then implement them. And we've been able to successfully move those projects quickly. So stay tuned for that. The state is in budget negotiations now, but we're confident that that program will survive and thrive. So as I mentioned earlier, you know the stories behind the canal, the narratives. You live them, you create them, you experience them. But what we've been trying to do here at the DOS is tell those stories in very real terms. The DRI started as a narrative-based application process. We got away from some of the rigid and prescriptive approaches of some other programs and basically asked communities to tell their story. And as we've created critical mass, we now have, 59 DRI communities and more coming next year. We're able to look a little bit more closely about how those stories have unfolded through projects. So we've developed a series of case studies. We can circulate them. Two of them in particular go to the communities that Brian highlighted, Oswego and Geneva, kind of paragons of that marriage between the canal and downtown revitalization. And the next step, which was just circulated today, is an effort for us not to be the sole conveyor of stories along the canal, but to ask canal DRI communities to tell their stories in their own words. So we sent a letter out to the first 4 DRI round winners today, basically saying, would you pick a signature DRI project, send us a photo, and tell us why it was meaningful, transformative, for whatever reason, economic, social, historic, whatever they choose. And then we're going to feature their stories in their own words in our social media and communications materials. I bring that up only because programs and stories interlock, and I think it sells the program, and it really explains your message, all of you on this call, I think a little in more real terms and maybe more effectively to the outside world, people that don't understand day to day what the canal means to all these communities.
That's great, Paul. Thank you so much. Let me just make sure we have it right. The governor has proposed $200 million total in funding for DRI. 100 million of that will be for the selection of 10 classic DRI communities. Another 100 will be delegated to proposed $5 million grants for 20 smaller communities that aren't DRIs, mini DRIs, if you will, and they will not. Right. They'll be beyond much geographically smaller. Would this include hamlets or just parts of villages or neighborhoods? I mean, what are the parameters for applying for that funding?
It's pretty open-ended. The governor did use that word, hamlets and villages, several times in describing the program. And I think because so many rural areas are still defined by unofficial hamlets.
But we're going to be spreading the word on that as part of the governor's team. We go out and we give budget presentations to our communities. And I've got my first assignment to give a presentation to 2 of our DRI communities, Lockport and North Tonawanda. And I know they're going to be interested in hearing that. So existing DRIs are not going to be able to qualify for more money on top of what they're already undertaking. But other communities that might be deemed too small under the previous program now have their shot to bring redevelopment and all of the benefits that come with it that we've just seen to them. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sure everyone on this call has got ideas of communities that they think might be strong candidates for that. So we look forward to talking more about that. And as I get more information, maybe at the April meeting, we'll be able to do that. And Paul, if we will share, or you can share the DRI success stories that you shared with us about Oswego and Geneva with our commissioners, our agency representatives, and our planning executives, that would be great. Okay.
Will do. Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. I've got to flip back now to my other part of my script. Any questions about DRI for Paul, from me, from the commissioners, from our guest trustee? If you've got any questions about DRI, we're happy to take them at this point. Let me check the chat box. Okay, I think that's okay. I don't think we have any questions. Okay, so let's go on now with the next part of our program, and that will be to introduce Angeline Chandler. And Angeline, as we've already heard from, is our Vice President for Planning for Reimagine the Canals. You've heard from her at our last meeting, and I believe the one before that, and I'm sure you'll hear from her at all of the meetings as we go forward with a very exciting and robust Reimagine the Canals and On the Canals program. And today, Angeline is going to be providing us an update with the start of the Reimagine the Canals iconic lighting program, which is nothing short of amazing. And she's going to report on the exciting On the Canals outdoor excursions, one of which I had the opportunity to participate in earlier this month. We can't wait to hear and get more information on what Reimagine and On the Canals has in store for us next. So Angeline, welcome back. We turn the floor over to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Brian. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to quickly update you on our iconic lighting program. Shown here is the Fairport Lift Bridge, which we completed last month, in fact, in December of 2021. The goal of our lighting program is to breathe new life into iconic canal infrastructure. Each design is unique to each historic structure and responds to local context, scale, color, and character. Our goal is to create iconic nighttime destinations for locals and tourists that activate public space. Our plans are carefully coordinated with the SHPO to maintain the historic integrity of each structure. We're using LED lights for energy efficiency and automated controls that change the intensity of the light between sunset and sunrise. Next slide, please. So in December, we actually completed 3 iconic lighting projects. On the right are the 2 lighthouses on either end of Oneida Lake. On the right is Verona Beach. In the middle is Brewerton. And then on the left is the Fairport project, where we had a ribbon cutting in December that was attended by Justin Driscoll, Mayor Julie Dameratz, and of course, Director Stratton. And reports from the mayor indicate that there is a great deal of public support and excitement about the project that draws new attention to both the bridge and the canal. Next. This year, we will unveil 2 more iconic lighting projects. On the left is the Tonawanda CSX rail bridge that has this amazing concrete counterweight. We're coordinating with CSX right now, so I don't have an exact date for completion, but we are hoping to get that done this year. And on the right is the Little Falls guillotine lock. We'll be lighting up the whole lock chamber as well as the superstructure that lifts the lock gate. And we're targeting having this complete for the canal season. Next, please. And then quickly about our On the Canals program, which we have piloted for 2 years now and spoken about at these meetings before. This program offers free programs to recreate in various ways on both the canal and the trail. In 2022, we plan to double our audience to 8,000 participants. We just received responses to our RFQ for the new batch of vendors for this year's program, and will soon be announcing the next set of offerings. Our focus is on expanding our audience to a wide range of users and interests. We want to attract visitors of all backgrounds and abilities. We will, of course, continue with recreation and overnight stays and supporting local businesses, but this year we'll also be adding art, health and wellness, and food and beverage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to see that, and we look forward to our new lighting projects that are going to be taking place at the North Tonawanda Bridge and Lock 17. So those are going to be beautiful. I know that I have shared with all of our CRC commissioners and I think most of the agency reps, but we're running very tight on time today. We don't have time to show it, but there's an amazing video that really shows you the movements and the capabilities of that great lighting project at that Fairport lift bridge. We had it lit in holiday red and green. We've had it lit in white, and it can be really modulated for any special event or any special undertaking. So Fairport is very, very happy and pleased with the newest addition to their community and probably what is one of the most beloved lift bridges on our entire system. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay. Let's go forward now to our winter maintenance program. And unless we have questions for Angelin, are there questions for Angelin? Trustee Gonzalez, can we share a link to the video? We certainly will, Trustee. We'll send that to you. In fact, we'll send it to everybody that was on the call today as we follow up for that. We know that the most active and intense portions, periods of operation across the canal system happen during the winter months, and we're certainly in the thick of it right now. And it is always a tribute to the hard work and dedication of our intrepid canal employees as we get this critical work completed in the off season, many times in extreme conditions, ensuring that we can open on time for another navigation in the spring. But we always get the work done, and today our Director of Canal Waterways Management, Ambrose Barbuto, is here with us today to take us through some of the projects that are going on now during our winter maintenance program. Welcome, Ambrose.
Thank you, Brian. And yes, we have been very busy. Next slide, please. So first, I'd like to talk about the work we do with our in-house maintenance employees here at Canals. Our major winter project we call our winter pump outs because basically what's entailed is we set cofferdams on either end of our locks and pump them out so that we can get in there and rehabilitate and refurbish many of the working parts that deteriorate over time. These are typically done on about a 10-year cycle in things like the miter wood, coin wood, different parts that wear out over those 10 years. And that's basically what we perform in the winter. This winter has not been without its challenges. We started out in the fall with some very high water across most of the canal. So that delayed us a little bit. Also, obviously, still dealing with COVID. Not only the extra safety precautions we've had to take, but this recent surge has kept some of our employees out for some time. So we've been dealing with that. And then, of course, this past month has been brutally cold. And as you can see in the photo on the left, these are the conditions we are typically working in. And there was just an extreme amount of ice with these sub-zero temperatures. But you know, we're on schedule, you know, varying degrees of progress across the system. The schedule for our eastern region, we are currently at lock C2, E4, E10, and E21. And in our western region, we're at locks 08, E29, E32, and E34. And as I said, we typically shoot to have those completed around the middle to end of April so that we have time to bring our water levels back up, get our buoys set, and have everything open for that opening in May. So next slide, please. We also have quite a bit of contract work going on. There's several smaller projects going on. I just wanted to highlight a few of the larger ones. So in Little Falls, right where Lockheed 17 is, just to the east of there, mid-December, we noticed a whirlpool in the water level. The water level was still up there because we keep it up because there's a hydro plant there, Eagle Creek. We noticed a whirlpool. We quickly drained that section of canal and found a handful of voids in the embankment there. So we currently still have that section drained. We're working with one of our contractors, Tioga, to fill those voids. Some of them have been filled already, and others we're currently working on a fix with our consultant Bergman Associates. So we hope to have that done in the next few weeks, and should not have an issue with filling the canal in time for opening. So we'll keep you updated on that. We also have a project where across the system, we obviously have several dams. Some of it are reservoirs, some alongside our locks, that we're starting at our highest priority sites and making various repairs such as brush removal for better inspections, seepage monitoring, along with any other items we need to address at these sites. Some of it we've done with our forces, but some of them are a bit out of the scope of what we can do, especially with our employees dedicated to our pump outs. We're engaging with some of our contractors across the system to make those improvements. And then the last larger project we have going on in the photos, Guard Gate 1 in Waterford. There's Guard Gate 1 and Guard Gate 2. We have a contractor that's helping us replace several of the railings along the stairways and on the upper rails. They're the older original bulb railings. We're basically replacing them in kind, but with obviously ones that are more modern and much safer. So that's kind of my update. I'd be glad to answer any questions, or else we can move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambrose, for that update. Do we have any questions for Ambrose? Any commissioners have questions for Ambrose? We appreciate all you do and all of the work that gets done. If you haven't had the opportunity to visit one of our pump outs during the winter, it's always fascinating to see all of the work that is done to take apart these great structures during extreme conditions. And it doesn't have to be cold for one of us to get cold while we're outside. If you're standing outside for hour after hour on that concrete, it gets cold very, very fast, even if it's in the 20s or in the 30s. So it isn't easy work, but it's essential work. And we have a very limited time frame to get all of this done. As you can see, 8 lock pump outs underway, 57 locks total on the system. We get one done every 10 years. Each lock undergoes a pump out roughly every 10 years. So there's always these major projects going on, and the sooner that we can get them started, the sooner we can get them wrapped up and open on time. So thank you for that. We're going to go on now, if there are no questions for Ambrose, to our real property items. This is the bulk of our agenda, and pursuant to Canal law, the New York State Public Authorities law, transactions for disposition of Canal real property must be reviewed by the CRC before being eligible for consideration and approved by the NYPA and Canal Board of Trustees. Joining us today, newly arrived on the Canal staff, is Carmen Story of our Canal Real Property Division. She is working with Dave Bossert and Jamie DeLuca to take us through each of these. Carmen has recently joined the Canal Corporation, coming to us from the Office of State Comptroller, where she also worked on Canal real property items, because we interface with the Comptroller's item on all of these. So she's no stranger to Carmen, to Canal issues. Each of these 4 parcels have been reviewed and approved previously by the CRC Real Property Committee and its chair, Commissioner Steve Iacchetta, along with Commissioner Dan Wiles last week. So we're going to begin with the first of our 4 items, and that the first up is the proposed abandonment of approximately 5.6 acres of canal land located in the town of Fort Anne, Washington County. Welcome, Carmen. Can you begin that discussion, please?
Thank you, Director. As you mentioned, today we will be discussing 4 parcels planned for disposal. These parcels are not presently needed nor anticipated to be needed for the operation and/or maintenance of the canal system. We'll begin with the most easterly parcel, as you mentioned, located on the Champlain Canal, and we will finish with the most westerly parcel located on the Erie Canal. Next slide, please. This first parcel to be sold at auction to the highest bidder is located between South Old Route 4 on the west and the west shore of the Champlain Canal on the east in the town of Fort Anne in Washington County. It is 1.5 miles south of the intersection of routes 4 and 22 and about 2.5 miles south of the Champlain Canal Lock 11. Next slide, please. The parcel is irregularly shaped and approximately 5.7 acres in size with an average depth of 260 feet. The parcel has about 1,100 feet of frontage on South Old Route 4 and 1,200 feet of frontage on the Champlain Canal. Next slide, please. This parcel is bounded on the south and east by lands under the jurisdiction of the Canal Corporation, on the west by South Old Route 4, which is under the jurisdiction of the town of Fort Anne, and on the north by lands formerly conveyed by the Canal Corp to Washington County. This parcel can be accessed from Old Route 4 from the north. Next slide, please. The site is improved with electric and telephone along the road, and based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with it. Next slide, please. Approximately 2 acres of this parcel is improved with pavement as a result of a former occupancy permit. Next slide, please. The site was formerly permitted as a staging area for aggregate shipping on the Champlain Canal. It is located at a wide section of the canal that is uniquely suitable for commercial shipping. Adjacent to the parcel, situated about 10 feet into the canal, are existing dolphins for barge mooring purposes. There is strong interest from the aggregate industry for shipping opportunities here. Next slide, please. A review of this proposal by the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and/or archaeological significance has been requested. The town of Fort Anne does not have any zoning designations. However, properties in the vicinity of this parcel are defined as rural with mixed agriculture, residential, commercial, and industrial. There are no existing or planned trails at this location. The Regional Planning Office and the municipality have no objections to the proposed abandonment. Are there any questions about this parcel in the town of Fort Anne?
Any questions for Carmen on this parcel?
Yeah, this is Cal.
Hi, Cal. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi, Cal.
Good. I have a question. Can you talk to me a little bit about the use of this parcel in terms of commercial shipping?
So Fort Anne and Whitehall and several other areas in Washington County, I think Granville is also a big aggregate area. They have a lot of aggregate that is going to other parts of the state and I think probably other parts of the world. The canal will be used to ship that aggregate downstate into the Hudson River and points beyond. So this lot here was previously used by an aggregate distributing company under a permit in the past.
So Cal, I can tell you that that New York Marine Highway previously shipped aggregate from the site when a previous owner owned the quarry that's adjacent to this site. I don't know if it's shown in the photograph or is it some distance away. But there's been a transaction of the quarry and there are new owners to the quarry now. They're interested to resume operations. Previously, some other companies and interested parties have expressed interest in this parcel. We're really viewing this transaction and the action today by the CRC as the first step in a multi-step process that's involved, which may or may not result in this parcel going up for sale. So New York Marine Highway is again expressing interest in a permit, but we're looking at, all of the steps that we need to go through to
I
stay
guess
consistent.
that's very helpful, Director Stratton. I guess my question is between now and the time that it's eventually sold, maybe to a new owner or repurposed, will that permitting be continued to be allowed? Should it be requested?
Well, we're looking at that. That's a good question about whether if it was going to be put up for sale, whether it would have an active permittee on the property or remain vacant. I think that's not been resolved yet. And I don't know whether or not Rebecca, Jamie may want to say more about that right now. Certainly we'd have more information coming forward at our next meeting. Who would like to offer anything more on that? I think we're just covering our bases and make sure that we have this ready to go forward if we want to. We have not made a decision whether we'll just hold on to it and permit it or proceed with putting it up for sale.
Okay.
But at least we have that option.
Okay, I guess that would be my question then. That's good. Could we leave that option then as part of this approval, that we would investigate a little bit further that permitting capability until it's permanently sold? Thank you.
The record will show that Commissioner Wysikowski would like the CRC to keep in mind that there are options for this property beyond sale, which would be to permit to an active aggregate mover, as was done in the past. And this aggregate is going in smaller form to the New York City construction industry, and the larger pieces are actually going to go to the resiliency building efforts ongoing on the New York City waterfront and the battery. So it's a critical operation that this stone get moved to New York City one way or the other. So we'll have more information on this soon, I would suspect.
Brian, this is Dan Miles.
Yes, Commissioner.
I just want to, I guess, piggyback on what Cal said, and that is I would hope that our action, whatever our action is here today, does not prevent this property from being permitted the upcoming season.
No, this does not foreclose the opportunity for it to be permitted and held for sale or consideration at a later time. Okay. Jamie, is there anything you can add to enlighten our commissioners on this process?
Yeah, I think, Brian, we're definitely still in consideration internally of how we're going to handle this parking for the upcoming season. So permitting is not out of the question, but we're still investigating it internally.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian, this is Peter. I'll just reinforce that the decision by the CRC today would not put up any kind of legal preventative barrier to issuing a permit later on.
Thank you, Counselor. Peter Casper is our internal attorney, which we probably should have introduced. In a normal world, you would have known he was on the call too. Thank you for that. Okay, if there's no further questions, we're going to move and second and vote on these separately as we go forward, as opposed to en masse. So let's with the proviso that with the record showing, I think that the commission consider the opportunity for permitting as opposed to sale. Can we have motion to move this item forward?
Rapporteur, so moved.
Okay, Mayor Patorti, Commissioner Patorti moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Michelle Bernard.
Second by Commissioner Michelle Bernard. It has been moved in second. Discussion, additional discussion on the item. Cal, you want to repeat your amendment or your
I'd have to
Your
think of
comment?
yeah, that we would consider the permit use of this site until it is formally sold.
Well, that we would move it forward on the condition that it would remain open for consideration for permitting by the
Yeah.
Canal Corporation, if that was the best possible use.
Much better, thank you, yes.
Good. Happy to help. Okay. Any additional discussion on the item? Okay, we're going to vote on this item. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. The motion is adopted, and we will proceed now to item number 2, and that is the proposed abandonment of approximately 1.2 acres of canal land located in the town of Hastings in Oswego County. Carmen, please take us through this one.
Thank you, Director. Next slide, please. Thank you, Kim. This second disposal has been requested by the town of Hastings for use as a public roadway. As the director mentioned, it is located on the north side of the Erie Canal at the westerly end of Oneida Lake in the town of Hastings in Oswego County. It consists of a pair of irregularly shaped parcels that total approximately 1.2 acres. Next slide, please. The smaller parcel to the east is approximately 1/10 of an acre, covering about 190 feet of East Road. The parcel's average depth is 30 feet. It is minimally improved with lawn area and a segment of paved East River Road. The larger parcel to the west is approximately 1.1 acres, covering about 615 feet of East River Road with an average depth of approximately 80 feet. The parcel is minimally improved with a lawn area, a segment of paved East River Road, and electrical services. Next slide, please. The small parcel to the east is bounded on the north, east, and west by lands owned by the town of Hastings, developed as a portion of East River Road, and on the south by the Erie Canal. Next slide, please. And another slide, please. The large parcel to the west is bounded on the north by the town of Hastings and several residentially improved properties. On the east by lands under the jurisdiction of the Canal Corporation and the town of Hastings, on the south by the Erie Canal, and on the west by additional canal lands and commercially developed property. Next slide, please. These parcels can be accessed from East River Road from the north and east, and Hines and Cantor roads from the north. Next slide, please. Based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with these parcels. Next slide, please. A review of this proposal by the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and/or archaeological significance has been requested. The parcels are located within a waterfront district. There are no existing or planned trails at this location. The Regional Planning Office and the municipality have no objections to the proposed abandonment. Are there any questions about these two parcels in the town of Hastings?
So everybody knows this is Brewerton. That is the Brewerton Pier, which the Canal Corporation undertook as a capital development project when we were under the Thruway Authority. I think it was a $5 billion project. It's a beautiful pier. It's a beautiful place, a very popular place along the canal, very active during the summertime. And Trustee Gonzalez, I'm sure it's not far from SK Yards, and you know the area well. So the area indicated at the larger parcel borders the pier, and then I think the smaller parcel is at the western end or eastern end. I don't know where the
Eastern
compass is.
end.
Eastern end, and then the property in between is no longer Canal Corporation property. It's been turned over previously. Is that correct, Carmen?
I believe so, sir.
Okay, so what you see in green is what is ours. So
That's correct.
very, very lovely, very active area along the canal. Okay, any questions for Carmen on this property issue? What would be the process? It would be we move it forward, and then it would be it would have an appraisal done on it, and then it would be put up for auction, or is it going to the municipality?
It will need to be surveyed as well to ensure the accurate boundary lines. And because it's going to the municipality, I believe that we can offer it to them at a discounted cost. So, yes.
Well, it's a vibrant area. It really has come into its own since the restoration of the pier and the reconstruction of the pier. We held an event there when it was dedicated. I'm thinking 2014. It was a long time ago, and a great restaurant and hospitality center there on the far right or far left hand of your screen, just above that green area by the roadway. So, any other questions or comments for Carmen on this issue, on this item? Hearing none, can we have a motion to move?
Motion to move.
Seconded by Fra.
Moves. Does someone have a? Well, we'll go on to discussion after we move in second. Second by.
Second by Fra.
Second by Commissioner Patorti. Moved and seconded. All discussion on the item. Any further discussion? This is right next. This is in Oswego County, but the Onondaga County line is right next to there, so it's really in the greater Syracuse area too. Okay, hearing no discussion, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
Aye.
The ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you, commissioners. Let's move on to item number 3. And that is the proposed abandonment of 4.2 acres of canal land located in the town of Waterloo in Seneca County, close to where we were zooming in on Geneva, along the Cayuga-Seneca Canal. Carmen, can you take us through this, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Director. The third proposal has been requested by the adjoining landowner to be assembled with his existing property to increase his lot size and provide legal access to Cayuga-Seneca Canal. Based on the application, the applicant is considering development of the property into a campground. It's located south of Waterloo Geneva Road, which is also known as State Routes 5 and 20. And on the north side of the Cayuga-Seneca Canal in the town of Waterloo in Seneca County. Next slide, please. As the director mentioned, it's about 4.2 acres. This parcel is square shaped and level with approximately 515 feet of frontage on the north side of the Cayuga-Seneca Canal and has an average depth of approximately 400 feet. It is bounded on the east, south, and west by lands under the jurisdiction of the Canal Corporation and on the north by the applicant. Next slide, please. The parcel can be accessed from the Cayuga-Seneca Canal or through private upland property owned by the applicant. Next slide, please. Based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with this requested parcel. A portion of the property is located within the 100-year floodplain. Next slide, please. The State Historic Preservation Office has reviewed this proposed abandonment and has issued a no adverse effect determination. with the caveat that the Canal Corporation require the purchaser to record a covenant in Seneca County at the time the deed is recorded, requiring the future owner to consult with the State Historic Preservation Office prior to any ground disturbance or development of the property. Next slide, please. Adjacent zoning is multiple use and commercial. There are no existing or planned trails at this location. Next slide, please. The Regional Planning Office and the municipality have no objections to this proposed abandonment. Please note that the subject parcel is a portion of approximately 18-acre tract of canal land that the corporation has determined to be no longer useful or necessary for canal purposes, except for flowage purposes. And the Canal Corporation has completed 3 other abandonments east and west of the subject over the past few years. Are there any questions about this parcel in the town of Waterloo?
Carmen, the parcel that you're showing is just the one that's indicated in red, and the other green areas on either side of that still remain in the Canal Corporation's ownership. Is that correct?
That's correct, Director.
So the owner only wants that center section for campgrounds or what other use he wants. So this is a private transaction, and what the process, just to remind those who may not know, what the process would be to come up with a valuation for the property, and then would it go to public bid?
Depending upon the value of the property, we may be able to negotiate the price of the sale. However, if we do reach the minimum threshold, it will have to go to public auction.
The structure or the indication in the property above, that's the marina that's close by. Is that correct? It looks like there's a watered connection into that marina off of this Cayuga Seneca Canal.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. So you could have boaters coming in that wouldn't want to stay on their boat. They could go over to the campground.
Sounds like fun.
And if he wants to do anything else along the waterfront, he has to go through go through SHPO first. Was that what you said in your remarks?
SHPO has told us to that he has to include, basically when he records his deed, he will have to agree that if he makes any changes, he will go through SHPO. So he'll be legally bound to reach out to them in the event that he makes any changes there.
Very good. Okay, I've satisfied my questions. Anyone else have questions on this parcel?
So do we have it? This is Cal again. Do we have any indication that this endeavor is going to expand, and this person may come back to us for the other parcels?
At this time, he has not expressed interest in any more land other than where his boundary lines extend to the canal.
Okay.
I think Carmen said, Cal, that we don't see a significant canal use for any of this property at this time, and the desired party wants to start with this designated parcel, probably start small, seeing how that goes. Would be my guess.
Okay.
But we love camping along the canal, and it's obviously that's something we're trying to encourage. And so boater services, tourism is something.
And if I heard you right, then the municipality and the local and regional planning entities are okay with this. They've reviewed it and given it a nod. This is consistent with plans.
We did, we sent notices both to the Regional Planning Committee and the local municipality over 3 weeks ago, and did not receive any adverse response to our notifications.
Okay, any other questions or comments for Carmen?
This is Dan Wiles.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, in a more general question is, what's the downside to leasing these properties as opposed to selling and disposing of them?
That's
Well,
a great
obviously,
question.
Obviously, the financial benefit is revenue that comes into the Canal Development Fund. Jamie, would you like to handle that one?
Sure, Brian. So we could obviously look at leasing of this parcel. However, it's still considered disposal under the Public Authorities Law. So we'd still have to go through the same steps as we would if it were an abandonment. The one caveat here is, liability. If we sell the parcel, we are no longer liable for anything that occurs on it. If we lease it, we still may have some sort of liability. So, I mean, I think in this instance, it makes sense to abandon this parcel.
It also puts it back on the tax rolls to the extent that whatever the taxable value is. Is that correct, Jamie?
Correct.
Right. It's to a private owner. Any other questions, Commissioner Wiles?
Well, as a former owner of a canal lease, we'll pursue this later.
Okay. Very good. These are questions that occurred to you just after our review of these items last week. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but yes.
We'll let it go this time. I'm just kidding. They're always questions are always welcome whenever they come. And I know that some days we think more clearly than others, especially me. So, all right, thank you. Any other questions for Carmen on this issue? We'll go to a move in a second, if not. Okay, who would like to move this item?
Moved.
Second
Moved by Commissioner Iacchetta and seconded by?
I'll second it. Frappatorti.
Seconded by Commissioner Patorti. Moved and seconded. Discussion, additional discussion on the item. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the item passes unanimously, as I can tell. Thank you very much. We've done 3 out of 4. Will bring us to our 4th one, and that will be the abandonment of 2.4 acres of canal land located in the town of Macedon in Wayne County. So Carmen, take us through this one, please.
Thank you, Director. The forced disposal has been requested by the town of Macedon so that it can cure its firehouse encroachment and further develop the Lock E30 access drive and Railroad Avenue so these 2 roadways can be formally, I think I have something stuck in my, let's straighten out here. Formally dedicated as portions of the town's public highway system. The town is also proposing to replace a failing and undersized box culvert in the bypass channel located under Railroad Avenue, which has been closed since 2020. The parcel is located on the south side of the Erie Canal, immediately south of Erie Canal Lock 30 in the town of Macedon in Wayne County. Next slide, please. Totaling about 2.4 acres, the surplus land is rectangular, measuring approximately 450 feet by 500 feet, together with a 525-foot-long access drive extending west from New York Route 350. The parcel is bounded on the south by the bypass channel and is improved with asphalt pavement, the South Macedon Fire Department building, and a portion of Railroad Avenue, which provides secondary access to the property. Next slide, please. The parcel is bounded on the north, west, and south by lands under the jurisdiction of the Canal Corporation and on the east by New York State Route 350. Next slide, please. The parcel can be accessed from New York State Route 350 from the east. Next slide, please. Based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with the requested parcel. Next slide, please. A review of this proposal by the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and/or archaeological significance has been requested. The parcel lays within the Canal Corridor Overlay Zoning District. Next slide, please. Please note that a portion of this site was previously abandoned to New York State Office of General Services in 1982 to allow for the construction of the firehouse at that time. However, for unknown reasons, OGS never conveyed the property to the town. OGS has agreed to transfer those lands back to the Canal Corp so that that portion can be included in the property it conveys to the town. The Canal Corp will retain an easement over the Lock E30 access drive from Route 350, Railroad Avenue, and approximately 800 square feet portion of land to the west of Railroad Avenue for access to and maintenance of the bypass channel, as well as a flowage easement on the bypass channel under Railroad Avenue. The Canalway Trail is located on the north side of the Erie Canal, about 500 feet north of this surplus parcel. The Regional Planning Office and the municipality have no objections to the proposed abandonment. Are there any questions about this parcel in the town of Macedon?
Are we voting on just what we're seeing or the addition of the old easement? I mean, of the old abandonment?
Only what is within the red outline, including the yellow hatched outlined as well.
So what was done previously, we're not voting on today, correct?
That's correct. The portions that are outside of the red outline, I guess it will return back to Canal land. So that piece there that looks like driveway under the red marking, that will be Canal land again.
That will be, okay, thank you.
So if you remember, this was the site close to the Lock 30 where we had our Erie Armada event, I believe in the fall of 2019. And that firehouse has got a canal mural on it. I know that area well. So we're happy to work with the locality for this purpose for the fire company.
And this is Peter Casper again, sorry to interrupt. So I believe, and Carmen, I'm sorry if it's inaccurate, but please correct me. So I believe the hashtag in yellow is an easement that would be retained by the Canal Corporation. So we will not be the fee holder in any of this property, but we'll have an access easement that'll allow us to get to our lock structures.
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that for the members. Thank you.
The old canal is shown in the dark green next to that yellow and red outline. You can see sort of, and then of course the barge canal is up where Lock E30 is. Just to orient yourselves. Any other questions for Carmen or comments? All right, let's move. Who would like to move this item?
Property, so moved.
Commissioner Patorti moves. Commissioner Wiles seconds. Discussion. Further discussion on the item. Okay. Hearing no discussion on the item. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. The motion is adopted. All four property items have been adopted and will move forward as adopted, including the first item, which has the provision that we still consider permitting and not move forward with any disposition of that property. So that completes our real property items. Carmen, thank you so much for the great presentation. Round of virtual applause for Carmen and in her first meeting and taking us through those items. We look forward to continuing to work with you. Okay, we'll move on now to the next item, and that would be new business. I would like to see if any members of the commission have any new business before the commission. I know Commissioner Wiles has got a couple of issues on his mind, and so I will offer the floor to Commissioner Wiles if you would like to speak at this time.
Sure, thanks, Brian. One issue that I have that is not on the agenda is the Day Peckinpah and the future of the Day Peckinpah and the survival of the Day Peckinpah. I did send out a digital copy of the Canal Recreationway, I'm sorry, the Canal Society's publication, Bottoming Out. And the last issue was dedicated to the Day Peckinpah. I have a letter from the history curator at the State Museum informing me that they are in the process of disposing of the word is deaccession of the Peckinpah. So I'm not here to say whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for the State Museum to do. What I'm saying is that the future of this extremely important canal asset is in doubt. And I don't think any one agency can do it. It's the canal community. We are part of the canal community, and we should be starting to discuss how to ensure that the Peckinpah survives. And of course, the worst case scenario is it becomes fish habitat. And that's still kind of it probably won't be, but it could be. And we don't want that. So I think between the Urger and the Peckinpah, those are the two most important historical vessels that we should be concerned with finding a new home for, and perhaps a new purpose.
Let me just confirm with you, first of all, that I also received the letter from Jennifer Lemak, PhD, Chief Curator of History for the New York State Museum, who was the owner. The New York State Museum is and has been the owner of the Day Peckinpah. We'll talk about what the Day Peckinpah is for those on our meeting today and phone that may not know what we're talking about. And she has conveyed to me that the Day Peckinpah meets two criteria for decessation. The museum is unable to properly preserve the object, and the object occupies space or demands resources disproportionate to its present or anticipated importance to the collections. So therefore, they're going to seek with our input to find a new home or owner of the Day Peckinpah to try their very best to keep it in state. And if that is not possible, they will sell the ship at public auction. So I need to have more communication with the museum to find out what their timetable is and where the fine print is in this letter. But I can confirm with you that I've received that same letter. I don't know that it was one time considered to be part of the REEF program, but that was pulled back. And I don't know if there would be covenants attached to its transaction or sale with respect to any federal monies that the Day Peckinpah had received back in 2008. But obviously, this is an issue that we need to move forward, and I would like to, speak with you and speak with others separately going forward of where we would like, in a perfect world, where we would like to see the Day Peckinpah end up. For those that do not know, the Day Peckinpah is a tremendous artifact, the last of its kind, a 1921 canal motor ship that was built in Duluth, Minnesota. I think one of 8 or 9 ships that worked on the canal, built specifically for the dimensions of our locks on the canal. If you think a lock is large, the Day Peckinpah filled up the entirety of one lock. So it is huge. It is the last of its kind. It was previously owned and operated by the Canal Corporation, turned over to the museum. It was saved from the salvage yard previously, and it is an artifact that really is worthy of its preservation if we can find the right home for it. So that's what I know, Dan, so I can confirm that with you.
And if I could just kind of segue into my next issue, which is the Day Peckinpah, if we can have it included in the 200th anniversary celebration of the canal, the merging of those two is a great opportunity, I think. And
I think that's a good opportunity. I think that's a good target date in terms of looking at the opportunity to make sure that it's part of that its fate and its future are known prior to 2025. I think that's a good target, and certainly we can have more presentations on this at a future meeting so people know what it is. But I've got some ideas, and I don't want to put them out for public yet because I think we need to talk to some other people first. But I have more information on this than I had when you and I first spoke several weeks ago, and I hadn't heard anything about it yet. And then it came to my attention, the letter from Jennifer Lamaque, Dr. Jennifer Lamaque. So I need to call Dr. Lamaque and ask her for more information.
thanks, Brian. And if we could discuss the bicentennial, that would be great.
Yeah, how would you like to proceed with that? You and
Well,
Cal?
the bicentennial, we started discussing it, I would think 10, 11 years ago, and how to prepare for it. And you only get one shot at a bicentennial. You don't get to say, oh, well, we can go back and do it again. So you only get one shot at it, and we're now down to 3 years. And so there has been planning done that I would hope could be brought up again. And I just, in the community, because that's what I hear, people talk to me about their concerns about what's happening. And there's great concern from a lot of corners of the Canal community about what's going to happen, who's in charge, what's the plan? Is there a plan?
Let me just update.
That's just a general feel.
And the benefit of the commissioners, we have, as the governor has announced, and I've shared with you before, we have put in an application to bring the World Canals Conference back to Buffalo, or bring it to New York State and to Buffalo very, very fittingly for 2025. And that application was submitted at the end of November to Inland Waterways International Selection Committee, which makes the choice for where the World Canals Conference will be held. We previously had the World Canals Conference at the beginning of our bicentennial observance in Syracuse in 2017. So we've made that move. We made it with the governor's support. The city of Buffalo and the Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation, which owns the waterfront at Canal side, is also planning a very comprehensive celebration for Buffalo and Canal side for 2025, which would be key in a bicentennial's celebration. There is legislation that has been proposed by Senator Dan Steck of Queensbury. I believe that's his hometown. For the North Country, the former district represented by Senator Little for many years, to establish an Erie Canal Commission, an Erie Canal Bicentennial Commission. I believe it has a co-sponsor in the Assembly, which would go further to make it a state effort and hopefully secure funding for it. I'd like to see how that effort goes and have the opportunity to speak with the senator and his staff. But we want to get the governor's support for this. So we're doing a number of things actively, but I would also, I think now is a good time to reactivate the CRC Bicentennial Committee and have them reconvene, reassemble, and come back with us to our next meeting in April with a proposal for a more robust celebration and inclusive celebration. So we'd like to hear what the commission would like to see in a perfect world that would include a statewide celebration leading up to the bicentennial, the full bicentennial in 2025. As you know, the Seneca Chief is being reconstructed, the working replica, full-scale replica of Governor DeWitt Clinton's packet boat, which he opened the Erie Canal on in 1825. That's being constructed at Canal side in Buffalo. We have some grants into that. That will be completed or is scheduled to be completed sometime next year, and they will do a preliminary tour of the canal leading up to a 2025 tour. So that should be incorporated as part of the bicentennial celebration. And we can certainly continue to work with the Buffalo Maritime Center and Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation and seeing what might be possible. So I know they want to have some mission for it, some public community mission for it before it is formally brought back to the Buffalo waterfront for our bicentennial celebration in 2025. We have a number of grants that we're working with the Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor on, partnering with them and expanding. So we have community grants, which can also be bicentennial focused. Rebecca, would you like to add anything to this for the conversation relative to the grants?
Not specific to the grants. I think, you've captured a lot of the discrete activities that are planned specific to the bicentennial. I think, thank you, Cal, for finding the documentation that the CRC had provided previously years back around priorities for the bicentennial era. I think a lot of the projects under Reimagine the Canals, particularly those around historic preservation or reactivating historic sites, as well as the On the Canals excursions program, hearken to some of the sentiment that was really defined by the CRC at that time as part of the bicentennial era's focus. So I think we have some opportunity to reframe some of that ongoing activity to also shed light on the historic significance of the time in which we're implementing these projects. So, just to echo Director Stratton, we'd love to, see a proposal on what you'd like to bring back from all of the great effort that you put in previously, as well as any new ideas that are emerging around how we can do things more, holistically. I do see that need, that it's more than just a set of discrete items, but instead, consolidated or concerted effort around specifically. So thank you.
Dan, I would agree with you that this is a issue which is of the utmost importance, and it should be elevated above and beyond the Canal Corporation and the CRC. It should include multiple agencies. It should include the legislature. It should include the governor. This is a national celebration, and you're absolutely right. The president quotes the Erie Canal as a transformative infrastructure project. Our governor certainly does, and she loves it. I think it's up to New York State to lead the way. So we need to elevate and broaden the table for those that are committed to planning a fitting and a comprehensive celebration, whether that just takes place in 2025 or there's events leading up to that, or if there's some sort of a lasting infrastructure component beyond that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Natalie.
I guess it's kind of two questions. The document that Cal found, was that circulated to me? I guess is my question. Did I miss that? And if I didn't miss that, could it be sent my direction as well? I'd love to see it.
We will certainly do that. Cal, do you have anything that's a little more readable? Cal,
was it just notes, like literal notes?
It's just photos of a physical document, but I rotated it for readability. It just came in sideways, so I think it's fine. It's totally legible, and I'm happy to share it. I'll have Kim circulate it to the entire CRC membership, so you guys can revisit that and see what was pulled together previously with a lot of thought and effort.
These were the findings of the bicentennial committee that was formed under the CRC in the era leading up to 2017, and their findings of what should be incorporated in the years between 2017 and 2025. We'd like to also reintroduce the Bicentennial Forum series, which has been on hiatus since COVID. So there's always an opportunity for those, endless opportunities for those.
My other question is, has anyone put in an application for a stamp yet?
You know, we've had those conversations with Senator Gillibrand, and I think we had the Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor that's traditionally got a stronger relationship with our congressional representatives to move that item forward. I can't remember if that's been raised and was embraced or not possible, but let me revisit that.
I believe that Craig Williams did submit a request to incorporate some type of a stamp for the bicentennial, and I do not think it was approved. I can check on that.
I can't understand why. We have that beautiful coin. We have that heritage coin, which Cal looks like she's reaching for. I know Rebecca's always got a few in her pocket for, you know, special favors. But that bicentennial coin is beautiful too. But you know, we need to do more of that, and a stamp would be great. The last time a stamp was done was what, at the 175th mark for the Erie Canal. Got a copy of that on my desk over here. But I think we should look at the stamp. I think there was some reason why there was some pause on that, and I've got to get back to Bob Radliff on that.
Do we know
Brian,
what?
we are working also. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Michelle, please.
Sorry,
Do we
Michelle.
know what the heritage area and what Bob, you just mentioned Bob Radliff's name? Do we have any communication with them, or do we know what their plans might be?
Well, we would certainly make them part of our plans. We work very, very closely with them. And of course, they are partnering with us in the application for the 2025 World Canals Conference, as they did for 2017. So anything that we do from a bicentennial point of view, they would certainly be right in lockstep with us. I don't think they're planning anything independent. They're a lean organization also, and we all are. But I think collectively we can make a larger impact.
I was just going to make note, Brian, that we had talked with the DMV, with the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles, about a bicentennial commemorative license plate option that would be available for the public. So that is moving forward, and the governor's team will ultimately make the decision on the final design for that. But that is in the works. So if you're looking to have your vanity plate focus on the bicentennial for the canal, that will be an option, presumably sometime, you know, this year or next, you know, sometime during the bicentennial era leading up to 2025.
Great.
There is already another canal license plate, so if you want to get a canal license plate sooner rather than
people who
later.
have subscribed to it so far, so maybe we can beat that.
This one will actually say 2025 or 200 years or whatever. I think the previous one, Natalie, didn't say, it just said Erie Canal, but which is not a bad thing either.
Can I just be clear that I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just concerned that the clock is ticking and
it's a worthy observation, and it's a valid observation, and we thank you for, you know, bringing it up. We're doing a lot of great work here, and we need to keep the fire burning. We know we have a governor that is committed to the Erie Canal and to the canal system as a voter. I think her major priority is to make sure that she can be our governor for the next 4 years. And once we've got that taken care of, I think we'll see great things happening. But I would encourage Dan and Cal and anyone else that would like to convene in the interim between our next meeting, go back and you know, we know that we have, the CRC has the ability to create committees, to constitute committees. And I don't know what the mechanics are, but I don't know any reason why the committee that you were previously working on would not still be in existence. So if there's any other mechanism that has to take place to make that happen, but we should not let those details hold you up from convening and coming up with a proposal that we can all discuss at our next meeting.
I was not on that committee. I would like to be. if
We
we
will put you on that
reconstitute
committee.
the bicentennial committee.
I would like to be involved as well, please.
Okay.
Appropriate.
And Natalie.
Commissioner Bernard, Commissioner Wiles, Commissioner Wysokowski, and
Natalie
Commissioner
Stetson.
Stetson.
I
Yes,
made note of that, Brian. Thank you.
very
Me as
good.
well.
And
I'm an original member. I'd like to continue.
You're not, no one is precluded. I imagine if you get a quorum, maybe it constitutes official business. I don't know how that works, but have some committee meetings and let's dust off what the information Cal had sent to us, which we will share with all of the commission members. And then we need to convene our agency partners, but we need to get a mandate from the governor and from our state legislature, and ideally some funding to make some of this stuff happen.
So moving in a different direction, I know that we're running out of time and perhaps we don't need to discuss it today, but there's a lot of chatter about two pieces of legislation that have been introduced. We haven't had a chance to talk about them. Their number, what is it, S8138 and S8139, and they have direct impact on the CRC and our operations and Canal Corp and NIPA. Do you have any information to share at this time, Director Stratton or Rebecca or anybody?
I've heard of one of the legislations. It's so far got a single sponsor, Senator Ryan, I believe, proposing that the Canal Corporation be combined with the CRC or be placed under the governance completely of the CRC. Rebecca, would you like to add anything more on that?
I think that's the primary gist of what's drafted. So it was proposed by Senator Ryan, who's District 60 in the Buffalo area, proposed that the CRC become the board for the Canal Corporation, that it be kind of extricated, I guess, from the NIPA trustees' leadership. And then it basically proposes a financial support structure that phases out over the course of, I think, just over a decade or so. And the proposed legislation would take effect January 1 of 2023. And from what I've discussed with a few CRC members, it seemed like it was a bit of a surprise to some members. We're happy to discuss further. We're tracking the bill and we'll pay attention to it, and happy to discuss. And then as Cal had raised at the start of the call, I'm just looking back for the number. There's also Bill A7045, which was Senate Bill 5959, which mandates quarterly meetings of the CRC and basically allows for members, commissioners, to call the meetings. You don't have to wait for the chairperson to call meetings. And I think the intent there is, generally speaking, that we don't have a gap in CRC convenings like we did between 2018 and 2020. So if for some reason the CRC meeting were not scheduled for a given quarter, any commissioner could call the meeting, as well as special sessions, which, as the legislation's written currently, do require the chairperson to call them with consensus from the CRC. So it basically further empowers CRC commissioners to convene.
That sounds like what Cal was talking about earlier.
Right, that was the initial, right, that Cal brought up during the
CRC to
opening
convene
remarks.
meetings, not wait for us. Okay.
Okay.
So, generally, the legislative process is always fluid. Some of these so-called one house bills pop up from time to time, but that doesn't mean that we should not pay close attention to it and keep you informed. So
Thank you.
I don't have any more information on that, Cal. I mean, there's no information in that Senator Ryan bill relative to funding, except that NIPA would continue to fund the Canal Corporation, but it would be governed under the CRC, which is basically the Cliff Notes version of the bill. But there's not a lot of detail in it, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't want to take up too much time today, but it's like it would be its own organization. It's like the Canal Corp and the Commission would become an entity unto itself, responsible after a 10-year period for its own future, sort of like the trust legislation that was introduced, I think it was a year ago, the Canal Revitalization Trust Initiative, again, making this up more of a autonomous.
Yeah, I think you're right that it's, I think you're left to intuit or interpret after that period of,
Correct.
Endowment ends from NIPA, and it could be either, a conservancy or a trust unto itself,
Correct.
or it could be a state agency that's expected to be part of the state budget. So that
Correct.
part is not clear. It's essentially a red line of when the Canal Corp was transferred from Thruway to NIPA, so it doesn't seek to go beyond that period of endowment. But it's interesting, and I'd be curious to know what the thinking was behind it.
That's why I was asking. I had to bring it up. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I think whoever authored this or started this has got the best interests of the CRC in mind. It sounds like a pro CRC piece of legislation.
Absolutely. Yep.
So we have many fans and many friends out there. So we'll find out where it goes from this point going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wysokowski and Commissioner Wiles and all the commissioners who want to serve on our bicentennial committee. Do we have any other items of new business to come before the commission? Now, general discussion by members of the public who may wish to comment. Members of the public.
Hello.
Hello, Peter Wiles.
Yeah, one more Wiles. What can I tell you?
Oh, you can never have too many Wiles.
Just one quick point that I want to make regarding the the real estate considerations that you have is basically a very central function of the CRC. And although it was mentioned, I want to just add a little more clarity to the circumstances that created it, which was it was part of the Thruway 2000, part of the constitutional amendment that allowed for leases to take place. And one of the functions of that was to provide a source of funding for the Recreationway Commission Fund, and I can't remember what the title of it is, and it doesn't matter. I know from experience that our development of our marina, which was a $1.3 million project, included leasing canal lands. I suppose it could have been purchased, but the thought and the idea behind it is that if it's leased, it becomes a permanent revenue stream, and if you simply sell your assets, it's a one-shot deal. So I would just like to point out that over the 20-year period of time that we, Mid Lakes Navigation Company, rented the canal lands, we paid lease amounts that equaled twice the assessed value of that property. And at the same time, to address the issue about insurance, we provided an insurance policy covering $2 million coverage for Canal Corporation. So I understand, I believe I understood your counsel say that the abandonment process needs to take place whether it becomes a lease or a sale. But I want to just make sure that everyone is aware that a lease is long-term and a sale is a one-shot deal. And that's all I wanted to
Well, maybe not in all circumstances. I don't know that the interest that we've had expressed in leasing that property on the Champlain Canal goes beyond 2 years. So, I mean, in your case, certainly in Mid Lake's case, certainly that was a long-term proposition.
In general, I'm just saying that sale of land is done, but if there's commercial use of land, then the consideration of a lease long term and the purpose of the change of the legislation allowing long-term lease was to make it so that an entity could borrow capital, get a loan, whatever, and have the opportunity over a long period of time pay it back. And I just get very nervous when the assets of the canal go away. And that's just my singular observation.
Understood. Point well taken. Thank you for that, for sharing that with us. Anything else, Peter?
No, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to comment before the commission? Seeing none, we will move to the portion of talking about our next meeting. We will reconvene in April, and we will undergo the usual process, and that Kim or Appello will survey the members of the commission with to propose various dates. We will endeavor to convene in person and come back with some more exciting information as we be on the eve of the opening of our next season, which is currently opening day is currently scheduled for May 20th, Friday, May 20th, for the new season of navigation. We will follow up with the promised items that we have discussed over the last 2 hours and get them to you. Again, I want to thank Trustee Gonzalez for joining us today. Hope you found the meeting enlightening, and I want to thank everyone else who joined. I particularly would like to thank Kim or Appello for her work in organizing the meeting, and all of our presenters for their fabulous work today and their fabulous presentations. And of course, to our commissioners for your tireless advocacy for the canal and your continued work on behalf of all of us. If there's any more discussion or items, say so now. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank, I'd like to thank the staff. We know you work really, really hard, and there's never enough of you to do everything that has to get done. But thank you for your efforts, and thanks for getting the CRC moving again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to have things back on track. We spend a lot of energy doing things that we shouldn't have to do, and I'm glad things are back on going forward. I think we're in a very good place. It's an exciting time, but you're right, 2025 will be here before we know it. And we hope that we'll get some good news coming this spring about the awarding of the 2020 Canal Conference, and get the political calendar taking place so we can focus firmly on the next 4 years. So thank you, Dan, for those comments. Thank you very much. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Cal Wysakowski, seconded by Fra Patorti with the bandana.
Yeah, gotta leave.
Thank you. It must be taco night tonight at the restaurant, right?
I do have to work tonight, but yes, well, it's time to go back to the store right now. Thank you very much. Yep.
Adjournment has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. All right, you are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone, for this wonderful meeting. Be
Bye-bye.
safe, and we